Okay, why, hi there. I'm Ron Juckett, and welcome to this unexpected live stream. I'm going to take tomorrow off because I'm tired and because we had games all week, and I've got a great basketball game for you. Where the hell am I centered? Is it here? Yeah, okay. A great basketball game for you Saturday between the 90s Duke and UNLV. Got the family party on Sunday, and then the big week 16 of the 78 lunch replay in that. Couple things that just wanted to talk about in general. Nothing really all that exciting. Dave Gardner asked during the game how I choose my games for replay. And so this has kind of evolved over time. I mean, the best thing that I try to do is find games that are going to interest you, you the viewer, because you're the one that I want to sit here for, whether you're watching it live for an hour and a half, or if you're skipping through, or looking for what I scream and lose my voice, or whatever. It needs to be entertaining for you the viewer, and so. I don't know why I chose the 78 season. I started one from 80 when I did this channel before and uploaded by half. But, when I decided, a little conversation with my dear friend, Al Red Sox fan, about what he said, well, you should always go live. You should do these games live. Okay. And it's been a hell of a lot of fun in the interaction there. And so trying to figure out what games are going to draw more than others is what I decided to do. I knew that playing both offenses was always going to be the best thing because it's harder for me to screw up that way, except for today, for instance. But on the other hand, it goes well, and it goes with me more being an observer. I know more about. I mean, obviously, I've never played football, and yes, I wore the Giants shirt. But whether or not at some point I do a team replay and do all an entire season of that, or what we've done this time and just done what you would see on a Sunday afternoon with double headers and single headers and sometimes an occasional triple header, try to provide you with what I think in advance is the best experience. Now this week we had the Minnesota Detroit game, which I never would have done except for someone watched the Thanksgiving stream and said, you know, I do have enchilada sauce on my face. I'm sorry. Um, that was their first ever game. And I looked at it and went, okay, do I do two games now? Or thanks for the like. Do I do two games or do I do three? And I decided that no, I'm doing a bunch of games next week, and the playoffs are coming, and you don't get a choice in those. You're doing every game. Um, that okay, I'll do that, and I will do what I think the most impactful game of the week, and that was Kansas City and Denver. And how you doing, Al? And oh yeah, that was pretty impactful football. Um, but on any given week, how you doing, OG? I'll look through about 2 weeks in advance, and I'll do this whenever for whatever baseball season that you guys select for me too. I'll go through and say, okay, here's my best option for games. Your best AFC game in the case of the football, best NFC game. And there were some truly terrible NFC teams this year. You didn't see a lot of Chicago, Green Bay, and Los Angeles because they weren't very good. I mean, the Rams are going to win the division with 8 wins or 9. Chicago could win the Central at 9-7, or they could crash out at 8-8 and not make the playoffs at all. And so it was a case of, okay, what do I present to you over a lunchtime that you want to be that you're interested in that hour and a half or whatever. Um, as the season's gone along, more people have watched live and the numbers overall are good. I take a look at the numbers. Uh, I don't want to put on a bad show. Not that I'm critical of my own decision making, even though, I think Um, I saw that Al. Uh, I watched the end of that game today, going, was Tony was right. I should have just ran a draw play, but it made for a dramatic moment, and my throat is still out there. I don't know how you do this, Al. How you get that voice to go through? Um. Anyway, and so, but David asked me earlier the game what I do, and so that's it. I do put prep work into these things. At one point during the season, I was doing notes, so I knew it was a great game. It was a great game. Kansas City had no chance. Uh, I went through and saw who had the most carries and all that because I want to be able to play those teams correctly. Because these are teams for our children, and if it was if I do a game of your favorite team, I want to make sure that you have a positive experience when you do it. Anyway, um, so that was that. So for week 16, I gotta go through and say, okay, um, if I was a television producer, look, I'm right up against the holidays. I have 4 open slots. I have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday because I know Friday is the release date for the baseball game, and we're going to do a long live. I've already decided I'm doing a triple header for the live stream for that. We're going to go through that together, play some games, see what that is. And don't expect that people are going to sit there for 3.5 hours and watch me play baseball, but that would be unusual. And so, yeah, I do try to think these things out before I go on there. Um, but when we do, that will be when we talk about what season do you want me to actually do for the baseball replay, which starts the week of my Super Bowl, which is January 16th. What was the other things to do? Some people have asked me why I do. You underestimate our ability to sit and listen to the games. Well, I mean, it's a case of look, you want to be entertained, but you're kind of in there. Okay, I'm the one going back to the Dungeons and Dragons. It's a role play type thing. It's certainly, I'm delighted that people want to listen to me do it, but I also have to understand that even though it's my channel with those sort of things, and I'm really not the star of the show, that what you're seeing to me is more important about what those players do than how I call it. And I'm delighted that people like to listen. And it's a hell of a lot of fun to do. And it beats me having to look for work that, I've got fan sided stories. At some point I'll get Mr. Wayhill back on and we'll tell some stories. But it's important for me that you guys are entertained, and it's more important that you're entertained by what's going on the field, and as opposed to me doing that. And I think I would agree with that too. Even though our philosophies and doing things are a little bit different, it's the same thing as far as I'm concerned. Um, but yeah, let's see what else. So why do I only call offenses? Well, because I- I'm not very good at calling defenses. And again, I don't want to be, I was in a booth, if I was sitting in a booth in Cleveland or Denver or Dallas or whatever, I'm trying to be impartial. I could do, and probably at some point we'll do a team replay of some sort, whether it's the Red Sox or Canadians or Celtics or the Giants or whatever, and then you're rooting for the team, and it's a pretty obvious thing, and that's all well and good. But when you're doing a neutral site thing, you want to make sure that both teams have equal chances to win. Sometimes it doesn't happen that way because teams can get pretty crappy. The opening weekend game I did for Dallas and Baltimore got the snot kicked out of them, and you knew that was going to happen. And you just try to make do with what's best. But that's why I always do both the offenses. I want to give both teams an equal chance to shine. And if I sat there with the Dallas Cowboys and played the doomsday defense against the Baltimore offense that couldn't get a first down if you spotted it 9.5 yards, where the hell's the entertainment factor in that? You're just beating the crap out of them. Now, if I'm doing a Dallas Cowboy replay, it's part of the job. And yeah, they would have probably whooped Baltimore by 50. I think the final score of that game was 38 to whatever, nothing or 3 or something like that. Poor Bobby Troop. Uh, and so that's why. But yeah, the question about game selection was asked earlier, and I tried to explain it during the game, and just thought that was it. I try to find games that, I know now what teams people root for. And so if they got a good game, that's going to be part of the selection process. There's 15, 16, there's 28 teams. So there's 14 games a week for me to choose from. And so, yes, very clearly, I want to find games that I think are going to entertain you and that I'm going to have fun to play, because there's nothing like, why didn't we see a lot of the Bears this year? Because they were not very good. And as my as Al says, there's only so many defensive slob knockers you can sit there and go, what am I doing? And it's all about being when you're doing a stream like this, it's all about providing entertainment. And hopefully I've done a good job of that. And you guys seem to think so. You're still watching. So that's that. And because, week 16, can you imagine? I mean, now both networks do double headers in that last game, but part of that, well, what do you provide over a 4-day stretch or whatever that's going to be impactful? How do you get that all covered into 5 or 6 slots to tell the story of how the regular season ends? I mean, we're going to probably have to do a Kansas City Seattle game with a terrible Seattle team that gets it, because if Kansas City wins, they go to the playoffs. Yeah, I think Al's right. The Vikings won at 9-7, and we just happened to luck out because the Bears had lost the week before. That Minnesota and Detroit actually meant something to both teams. And Detroit, I looked it up today. I mean, I woke up this morning and was excited about this game. It's a fake game, for crying out loud. But I was like, oh yeah, I get to do this today. Detroit, if everything falls their way, they win, the Rams win, and the Bears lose, Detroit wins the division at 8-8. I'm stunned. The Giants could win the wild card at 8-8 if they beat the Eagles. Yeah. So no, this was more of a case of that. David asked a question earlier, how I choose things, and I just, I'm not any reason to keep a secret. That's what it is. I try to find what I think are the best matchups in a given week. When we get to the baseball season, it'll be 2 games in a given week. We'll do a Wednesday game. We'll do a weekday series game, and then we'll do a weekend series game, and they'll all be live. They'll all be live, and you'll have a chance to do it. And I don't know what time we'll do them, but they'll be around lunchtime and all that. But again, what do I think a good matchup is? What do you want to see? If it's a year that the Yankees are good and they're entertaining, then you'll probably get 20 Yankee games. So Al has a chance, or you guys have the chance to kind of, when we do this in the live stream next Friday, of suggesting season that maybe the Yankees aren't so good or whatever. I mean, that's the thing. If we aren't bound by, national this and that, and got to make sure that this team gets an appearance and that team gets an appearance. But yeah, no, I'm happy to share whatever part of the process of how I select things. Again, it's different from, when I'm doing things by myself, of what I do and what I don't do. But, I just want to make sure that you guys have a good show. And boy, did we get one today. So that's about it. So yeah, nothing for me tomorrow on the stream. Saturday we'll have Duke and UNLV from the 90s. Talking about 2 teams that are loaded. Sunday I'm off because of family arrangements. And then Monday, the next week is pretty much we're focusing on week 16. If need be, we'll go with 6 games next week. We'll do them every day but Friday, depending on what's going on. Because A, we can. It's a YouTube channel. And B, because you guys have stuck through it for the first 15 weeks. I think, if you're a regular watcher of this channel, we all have a vested interest in about how we get there. And, for me, I think that's important. So at least 2 games, and we could be talking up to 6. And so, again, as I say at the end of every time I just kind of go on camera and chat, I'm always open for your suggestions on what I could do better, about what you want to watch, because your guys are the ones that seeing you guys react and talking with you makes it worthwhile for me. I mean, one of the downside things at Fanside was there wasn't the Skins game was awesome. The Skins game was awesome. Was that there wasn't a lot of feedback from supervisors. I mean, a lot of feedback from my coworkers because they were great. Or from readers. You never knew what people wanted or what they didn't want. And look, thanks to hockeytournaments.com, I've made about as much from doing this than I did. Well, let's put it this way. I've made more from this football season than I did this summer at Fanside. Okay. And had a hell of a lot more fun. So, but getting in feedback from you is important, whether I screw up something or do something right. So, all right, that be about it. Because I'm actually going to put on the Chiefs Chargers game because it actually looks good, and I meant to watch the Rams Chiefs game on Monday night and fell sound asleep through it. All right, so thank you so much for all your support. And if there's more questions that you have, put them in there. And it doesn't take much for me to pop on camera and whatever. So, like I said, we'll do as many meaningful football games as we can. And if that means there's no cards and dice Sunday or whatever, or basketball on Saturday to finish the season, then we'll do it because it's that important. And yes, every playoff game will be live. We're going to do for the wild card, essentially the 4 or 5 games, and the divisionals. There'll be one set that will be in prime time, and the other will be during at lunch because I know some of you love watching at lunch. The conference championship games and will be in prime time, and of course the Super Bowl and the hockeytournaments.com Pro Bowl will be in prime time. All right, thanks, Al. As always, buddy, love you guys like crazy, and hit that like button. So, all right, that's what we got going on now. So week 16 is the next focus, and we're just gonna. Why do I get more people at the end? And we're just gonna take things day by day. But if you're curious about what we were going, hit it from the start, and go through the process. Baseball is live next Friday. We're going to do. I already know what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a real life. If Al's still with us, a real life White Sox Red Sox game from 1919. That's the opener. So you're going to see Babe Ruth against the Black Sox. The 58 game, because that is the other season that comes with the deluxe version, is going to be the Dodgers and the Giants opening day from San Francisco. First game ever, first Major League game on the West Coast. I already had those seasons, so I can get the stuff prepared. And the last game is going to be Washington and the Reds, I think, opening day, because I've had the playoff teams forever. All right. Thanks a bunch for watching. I'm Ron Juckett. Hit that like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you the next time. Nothing new tomorrow. Basketball Saturday, Duke and UNLV about 1 o'clock. Until then, I'll talk to you then.